This is the amount of electronic waste each of us produces every single year. To be more precise, 11.2 kilos. Some of these devices were important to us. Maybe it was our first smartphone. Maybe it was a tablet that we used to study. Maybe a laptop that helped us to prepare those presentations that got us a promotion. But most of them don't last forever. 1, 2 years, 3 years maybe, or even a handful of times. And if we multiply the content of this box by millions and millions of times, that's exactly what we are seeing and getting in terms of electronic waste globally. In 2022, there were 62 million tons electronic waste generated globally. Just to give you a picture what it means, if we were to lay down all this waste, we will be able to walk to the moon and back 6 times. Europe is one of the largest producers of electronic waste with 5 million tons every year. Only 22% is recycled in Europe, not emerging markets. And what about the rest? The rest basically ends up in landfills, polluting the soil, the water, the air. And smartphones are one of the biggest contributors because they are the most popular consumer electronic ever. Smartphones are very complex devices that require hundreds of components, many of them with toxic materials like lead, mercury, cadmium, which will impact and harm the environment and our health. But this is not just about pollution. This is about also human rights, health conditions. Around 70% of the world's cobalt, which is a key component for the batteries in our smartphones and our devices, are mined in Congo, in very dire conditions, where men, women, and even children dig it by hand with no safety, no protection, and in many cases, completely exploited. And to put this in context and perspective, last year, we purchased globally 1.2 billion smartphones, just last year. And if you look into all the other categories, from PCs to tablets, smart home, wearables, you name it, we are talking about trillions of devices. Over our lifetime, each of us will buy more than 300 different devices. Smart TVs, wearables, air fryers, appliances, whatever you want, because they are cheap, because they are important, because we really need them. But when we look into all this waste, we know there's a problem. But we don't look into what we are doing to fix it. We blame governments, we blame corporations, we blame the brands, because at the end of the day, how can I make my smartphone more sustainable? I can't. It needs to be the brand. And to be fair, they are doing their bit. Most smartphone brands today, and PCs and tablets and the other categories, they are already using different materials, recycled materials. Governments are bringing legislation to force the brands. But we have a superpower. It's the superpower of deciding, as consumers, what choices we make when we need a new device. So it's time to delete, to reset, to restart. It's time to take action. We cannot continue using the technologies we need without preventing and helping the solution. And why can't this be an opportunity as well? Why do we need to stop using the devices we need that help us in our lives to have a positive impact? Why can't we have both? We should have both. And circularity is the answer. Because what we need to decide is whether we're going to keep buying new devices or take action to extend the life of the devices we use and make better choices when we buy new products. So unlike the linear traditional economy model where we take, make, use and dispose, the circle economy, it's all about extending the lifespan of a device or any product as long as possible. And that can only be used or be done by reusing, refurbishing, and recycling when there's no other solution. And we are already doing this in many other categories. This is nothing new. Circular economy, I'm sure everyone heard this concept before. We buy second-hand cars. We buy second-hand clothes. In many countries, like in the UK and even in Portugal, it's very common to go to a charity shop and buy second-hand clothes. It's trendy, indeed. Most young people, they like to go on Vinted and buy those second-hand clothes. But when we need a new smartphone or tablet or PC, we rush to the store, there's a nice campaign, there's a nice discount, let me buy it new. That needs to change. And there are 62 million tons of reasons why it matters. So how can we act? What can we do? I'll give you 2 ways. One, the next time you think you need a phone, a PC, a tablet, a TV, whatever, because it's not working well or it got broken, check whether you can get it repaired. Sometimes it's not easy. I take that, because brands don't make it easy. But that is also changing. The second way is to consider a refurbished product, which is a product that has been tested, cleaned, repaired. Maybe it got a new battery or screen. The screen, if it has scratches on phones and tablets, it gets polished. And it comes with a warranty. In Portugal, up to 3 years. So it's like buying new. If I pick 2 phones, you won't be able to say which one is new, which one is refurbished. Because the core of the device is the same. There's no risk. And when we take these kind of choices, we are telling the brands that it matters. And if we extend the lifespan of a product, a device, by just 1 year, instead of rushing to buy a new one, say, okay, I can wait another year. This is equivalent of cutting CO2 emissions in an amount similar to taking 2 million cars from the streets every year. This is the impact we can make. And governments are also stepping up. So for instance, in terms of the European Union, there's the Circular Economy Action Plan, with many different measures becoming law and policy. Probably all of you will have a smartphone with the same charger. There's no more different chargers between brand A or brand B, between a PC, a tablet, or a laptop. They are all the same charger, because they introduced this requirement for all products to come with the same charger, which helped to reduce the amount of waste in terms of cables and chargers. There's also the right to repair. By law, manufacturers need to provide the spare parts, design the products in a way that can easily be repaired, and provide the tools to the repair centers for them to repair a phone, or a PC, or a tablet, or any device. So when next time you need to get your device fixed, and if you go to a store, they will have to do it at an affordable price, because in the past, it was so expensive that buying a new one was cheaper, so that's the decisions we would make. But today, you have that option. And the repair centers will have to do it. And when you get the device repaired, it gets an extra 6 months warranty. There's also the eco-design, which is another legislation that is taking place and starting from this year, in June this year, where any device, starting with smartphones and tablets, that are sold will have to be designed in a way that if you drop it in the water, it doesn't get damaged. If you want the device to last longer, the battery needs to take a certain number of cycles, and the operating system will be updated for much longer than what we get today. And there's also the digital product passport, where you can see and compare how repairable certain devices are compared to others. So what role do we play? Well, it's a big one, because of our superpowers. When we decide to buy a refurbished product or to repair the device we need and use, we are voting for a more sustainable future. And this is the power we have. And the refurbished device, it's a very strong alternative and good alternative to the new ones, because they are tested, repaired, components are replaced if they are not working properly, software is updated, and it comes at a much lower price point. You can even choose the condition of the phone. If you really want something like new, you pay a bit more, and you won't be able to see the difference between brand new or refurbished in an excellent condition. But if you don't mind having a device with some light scratches, you pay much less, because usually the price difference is based on the cosmetics of the device. But the core, the software, the processor, the camera, everything will be like new. So it's a no-brainer. And consumers are making that choice, because even if they don't care with the environment, they care with the money they spend. If you buy one of the latest devices refurbished, you will get at least a 25% discount. But if you are happy with the device that was launched 1, 2, 3, 4 years ago, you will get a much bigger discount. And when you compare the specs of the latest phone with another model launched 2, 3 years ago, you will see almost no difference. So why to pay more? And especially, why to buy a new one? And consumers are loving it. Indeed, when we ask in surveys how happy they are with their refurbished products, 71% are satisfied or very satisfied. And when we ask how many more products are we willing to buy as refurbished, the majority say most of them from now on. Because what's the point of buying new? And this movement is really growing. Last year, the sales of refurbished devices reached $75 billion US. And by 2029, it will reach over $105 billion US. So consumers are really looking into these solutions as a way to help the environment, but more importantly, as a financial benefit as well. We have the power to make the difference. When you choose a refurbished device, when you decide to get the device repaired, you are voting for a more sustainable future. We need to stop complaining about the brands, putting the blame on governments or corporations, because we also need to be accountable for our decisions. And that's what consumers are doing. Imagine if we could cut the size of the content in this box by half, or completely, or even one single device. The impact that would make. And what's the cost? Well, very, very little. Indeed, we are saving money. Remember, the power to create change lies in our everyday lives, everyday decisions and choices. So let's choose wisely, let's choose sustainably, because together we can really make a difference. Thank you very much.